In America today, a retiree needs at least $200,000 to live comfortably, a number that 9 out of 10 people will never reach. Rent has gone up 35%, health insurance has doubled, and even a simple meal now costs more than the average pension check. You work your whole life, only to realize that your old age still isn't enough to live in peace. But somewhere across the ocean, $800 is still enough to buy you a real acre of land, with a legal title, sunshine and wind, and even a legitimate path to residency, or a second passport. No need for million-dollar investments. No need to speak the local language. No need to be rich enough. You just need enough courage to leave the place where everything has become too expensive and go, while the door to freedom is still open. Because by 2026, many countries on this list will tighten immigration laws and double their land prices. This opportunity won't last long. You can sit and watch it pass. Dream it. Pack it. Go. 5. Zambia, where freedom is still cheaper than an iPhone. In America today, $800 is only enough for a mid-range phone, something that will be outdated in a few months. But in the heart of Africa, that same amount can buy a real acre of land, where the bright sun wakes you up with birdsong instead of an alarm clock, and wide rivers reflect the evening light as if even time itself knows how to pause. That's Zambia, a land people jokingly say, "Here, land is still as cheap as memories." If you've ever dreamed of a life where every morning isn't traffic jams, interest rate hikes, or rent increases, Zambia might be the place where that dream becomes strangely reasonable. In the Central Province and Copperbelt, there are still plots priced at under $1,000 per acre depending on location. Many listings for farms and large ranches show prices that are remarkably low compared to the United States. What's special is that the Zambian government does not shut its doors to foreigners. They allow you to lease land long-term for 99 years, a common leasehold system that's more than enough for you to build a home, start a farm, or begin a new life surrounded by nature. If you want to go further, a minimum investment of $250,000 can qualify you for an investor permit, granting long-term residence, and after 10 years of living there, you can fully apply for Zambian citizenship. It's not about buying a passport in a luxury sense, but about a real journey for those who want to belong to a land where money is not the only measure of human worth. Zambia feels like a painting blended between wilderness and serenity. From the mighty Victoria Falls, where the roar of cascading water echoes like the drums of the sky, to the endless green plateaus, everything here reminds you what real space truly means. In the morning, you can sip your coffee while watching the mist roll across cornfields. In the afternoon, just a 10-minute drive takes you to the banks of the Zambezi River, where elephants and antelopes still wander freely, as if humans were merely late-arriving guests. As for the cost of living, Zambia remains among the lowest in sub-Saharan Africa. In the capital Lusaka, a small apartment rents for around $300–400 per month. A full meal costs less than $3, and total monthly expenses for a single person average between $600 to $900, less than a single utility bill in New York. The internet is stable. Electricity from hydropower, thanks to Lake Kariba, is cheap and sustainable, and most food, vegetables, fruit, and beef is locally produced. Zambia's healthcare system has a clear hierarchy. Public hospitals are cheap but crowded, while private facilities in Lusaka or Ndola offer good services at only 1/5 the cost of the U.S. For foreigners, a private or international insurance plan is a reasonable choice. It provides peace of mind and saves thousands of dollars each year compared to the United States. As for transportation, you can easily fly internationally to Lusaka or Livingstone, where Victoria Falls lies right on the border with Zimbabwe. From there, road networks connect to most parts of southern Africa, Botswana, Tanzania, Namibia, making Zambia an ideal transit hub for both tourism and agricultural investment. But what makes Zambia special is not just the cost or the scenery, it's the people. Zambians are considered among the most hospitable people in Africa. Here, you'll be greeted with a genuine smile, not for selling something, not out of politeness, but because they truly see you as a guest of the land they love. They have a famous saying, "We don't own the land, we belong to it." And perhaps that very spirit makes life here move slowly, gently, and peacefully in a way that's rare in the modern world. If you've ever felt that in America, freedom is becoming more and more expensive, Zambia will surprise you, because here, freedom is still cheaper than an iPhone. With $800, you don't just buy an acre of land, you buy the silence of dawn, the feeling of owning space, and the chance to live the life you once dreamed of. Growing vegetables, raising chickens, building a small home, and watching your children run barefoot through the grass. Of course, nowhere is perfect. Zambia also has two drawbacks you should know before packing your bags. First, the infrastructure in rural areas is still basic. Dirt roads, wooden bridges, and electricity that can be unstable during the rainy season. Second, land transactions require legal caution because you're only granted a 99-year leasehold, not permanent ownership. Always have a local lawyer accompany you. But if what you're looking for is not comfort, but a simple, clean, and genuine life, Zambia is one of the few places left on Earth that still has enough space for new dreams. A question for you. If 800 could buy you an acre of land, an open sky, and a sense of freedom, would you dare to leave America and try? Comment "I dare" below. Because the next destination will surprise you even more, a highland where even money likes to retire. Bolivia. 4. Bolivia, where time doesn't need to run to live. On October 19, 2025, Murillo Square in the capital city of La Paz was filled with red flags and the sound of folk music. Rodrigo Paz Pereira, the man once dismissed as too young to change the country, had just been elected president with 54.5% of the votes. In his brief speech, he said a sentence that made the entire Andes fall silent. It's time for the people to stop leaving their homeland, and for this country to open its doors to those who wish to start over. Just a few hours later, the phrase "land for sale in Bolivia" became the most searched keyword in South America. Because while the world is becoming suffocatingly expensive, Bolivia seems to live at a different pace. In regions like Santa Cruz or Chaco, 1 acre of land costs only about $700–900, roughly the price of a new phone in New York. While a single square meter in Los Angeles costs more than an entire farm here, this land still holds vast fields with no visible end, and skies so blue it feels as if they've been washed clean by the mountain winds. In Bolivia, land isn't just cheap, it's still real. You can stand in the middle of a valley, drive a stake into the ground, and know for sure that beneath your feet, no mortgage is weighing down your breath. From the Andes, the cool air drifts down to Cochabamba, a place locals call the Valley of Eternal Spring. There, a 2-bedroom apartment in the city center costs only $350–450 per month. A full lunch is $2, and one person can live comfortably on $600–800 a month. Living in Bolivia feels like stepping into a world where inflation hasn't yet learned how to run. You can still go to the market with cash, bargain with a smile, and buy fresh vegetables picked from a farmer's garden without barcodes or credit cards. But perhaps what makes Bolivia truly different isn't the numbers, but the rhythm of this country's breath. In the morning, dew falls on cornfields, and the sun rises slowly as if in thought. At noon, winds from the Cordillera Rail draw graceful curves across the meadows. At night, when you look up, the altiplano sky appears like a giant mirror reflecting an endless sea of stars. People say that if you want to understand the earth, come to Bolivia, because here, every piece of land tells a story thousands of years old. Foreigners may own urban real estate. They are not allowed to own within 50 kilometers of the border zone or to purchase state-owned land according to the Constitution. If you choose the right area, you can register ownership just like a native citizen. And the path to citizenship here is one of the shortest in South America. 1 year of temporary residence, 2 years of permanent residence, and, after a minimum of 3 years legally, you can apply for naturalization. No millions needed, no golden visa required, just truly living here, working, paying taxes, and becoming part of the community. Healthcare in Bolivia isn't luxurious, but it's surprisingly effective. A doctor's visit costs around 15-20 tutl, a blood test about $10, and medication is up to 70% cheaper than in the U.S. In Santa Cruz, private hospitals like Clínica Foyanini have served thousands of expats, and more doctors trained in Europe are returning to practice. Locals don't see doctors as a luxury, but as a normal part of everyday life. And it's that very sense of normalcy that makes this place so livable. You don't have to choose between health and finances, between medicine and a roof over your head. If Zambia is a symphony of earth and wind, then Bolivia is the melody of time. Here, each day passes like a slow-motion film, where the sound of pounding corn blends with the ringing of ancient church bells. People don't talk about speed. They talk about harvests. They don't talk about stock prices. They talk about rainfall. And among these simple people, you suddenly find yourself small, yet strangely free, because no one demands you prove anything just to have peace. Of course, no paradise is perfect. Bolivia still has weak infrastructure, winding mountain roads, and internet that can vanish halfway through a video call. More importantly, foreigners are restricted from buying agricultural land or property near borders. So if you want to invest, you must have a local lawyer to ensure everything is transparent. Yet in return, you gain something rare. The feeling that no matter how fast the world spins, there's still a place that hasn't caught up with rising prices. And that's the true allure of Bolivia, where $800 doesn't just buy you an acre of land, but an entirely different rhythm of life. Slower, more genuine, and closer to the earth. If you've ever felt like you're running without knowing why, then perhaps it's time to stop, in a place where even money has chosen to retire. Comment, "I need a place to breathe," if you too feel tired of the old pace of life. Because right after Bolivia, we're flying south, to Paraguay, the land where time forgot to raise prices and freedom is still up for sale. If this video made you smile, hit like so I know you're still searching for your own kind of freedom. And don't forget to subscribe, because the next journey might just be the map that leads you to where you truly belong. 3. Paraguay, where peace still costs less than 4 digits. In 2024, Elon Musk appeared in a photo that went viral across South American social media, not beside a rocket, but standing in the middle of a vast grassy plain in Paraguay's Chaco region. He wasn't there for tourism, but to survey lithium, the white gold of the 21st century. And from that moment, the world suddenly remembered a small country tucked in the heart of South America, where land is still as cheap as memory, and freedom is still priced in numbers below 4 digits. Paraguay is the kind of country that makes you double-check your calculator when you look up prices. A plot of farmland outside the city costs only $200 to $800 per acre, cheaper than repairing an iPhone screen. In remote regions like Boquerón or Presidente Hayes, you can buy an entire piece of land for the price of a few dinners in New York. And the strange thing is, here, no one finds that strange. They call Paraguay the land where time forgot to raise prices, a place where life still moves slowly. Prices seem frozen in 1990, and the smiles of its people are as genuine as the morning sun. If in America, $800 is just a health insurance bill, then here, it's enough to buy real land, real trees, and a real life. Paraguay currently offers a relatively simple residency process, no longer requiring a fixed bank deposit as before. Instead, applicants can show financial capacity, savings, income, or pension to obtain a residence permit. After about 3 years of continuous residence and establishing a real domicile, one can apply for citizenship. There's no language exam, no exhausting interviews, just proof that you truly live here, have a stable income, and a clean record. That's why people call Paraguay South America's shortcut passport. Cheap, real, and completely legal. Many Americans, Germans, and Japanese have quietly chosen this place as a strategic escape from the overwhelming taxes and living costs of their home countries. In Paraguay, $1,000 provides a stable lifestyle for the entire month. A downtown apartment, fast internet, private health care, and steak dinners with friends. That's what makes small investors and international retirees see this as the last undiscovered financial paradise. The expat community in Asunción keeps growing, made up of American farmers, German freelancers, Japanese designers, and even former Silicon Valley engineers, now growing oranges and raising goats to relearn how to live. Healthcare in Paraguay has two sides. Public hospitals are free but have limited facilities, while the private system is astonishingly affordable. A general doctor's visit costs only around $40, and common surgeries are up to 70% cheaper than in the US. Paraguayans don't talk much about wealth. They measure happiness through family meals, the sound of a guitar by the charcoal stove, and a cold glass of tereré passed among friends. Here, people don't live to prove. They live to feel real. However, the public transportation system outside the capital is still weak. And during the rainy season, some dirt roads can turn muddy, causing delays in travel. In addition, the real estate market moves slowly. You can't flip land quickly like in Thailand or Mexico. But that's exactly why prices here remain unbelievably low. In Paraguay, $800 doesn't just buy you an acre of land. It buys you a month of peace, a slower life, and a passport that opens the door to the future. If you believe happiness isn't in your wallet, but in the place where you wake up each morning, then maybe it's time to look toward South America, where time still walks barefoot. Comment, "I want to stop time," if you're ready to step away from the spin of modern life. Because the next destination will take you to the sea, to the Dominican Republic, where the sun rises with the sound of waves, and a second passport is just 2 slow years away. Two, Dominican Republic, where the sea softly whispers 2 words in your ear: freedom. When Mark Thompson, a 56-year-old truck driver from Florida, retired after 25 years of driving across America, he realized his pension was just enough to pay for electricity and insurance. One night, scrolling through YouTube, He saw a video that said, "In the Dominican Republic, $50,000 can buy both land and citizenship." He laughed, then opened the map. 6 months later, Mark was standing on a white sand beach in Samana, holding a new passport in his hand, with the ocean stretching before him. "I used to drive across America to make a living. Now I just walk a few steps to find happiness," he said, pointing to his small house facing the sea. And that is the story of the Dominican Republic, a place where with just one decision, you can change your entire life. Land here still ranks among the unbelievably cheap in the Caribbean. Outside tourist cities like Punta Cana or Santo Domingo, regions such as Maria Trinidad Sanchez or Duarte offer rural land from just $1,000 to $3,000 per acre. And if you go further inland, you can even find it as low as $800 per acre. At that price, you can't buy an apartment in the U.S., but you can own an entire mango orchard overlooking the Caribbean Sea. What's remarkable is that with just a $50,000 investment in land, a home, or a small business, you can apply for long-term residency. After 2 years of genuine living, the government allows you to apply for citizenship, with no language tests and no large capital requirements. That's why the Dominican Republic is called a legal paradise for those who want to start over. In the Dominican Republic, $100 is enough to live near the beach, eat fresh seafood, and sip Dominican coffee every morning without checking the bill. A 2-bedroom apartment near the beach costs $400,500 per month. A local meal just $3 to $4. Dominican coffee is rich and fragrant, and utilities, electricity, water, and internet total under $100 per month. If you bring a laptop, a few remote working skills, and a heart that longs for simplicity, this place is ready to welcome you with open arms. And believe it, you won't be alone. In Cabarete, Puerto Plata, Sosua, more and more Americans, Canadians, and Europeans are moving here, opening cafes, teaching yoga, raising dogs, and sharing together the joy of a life with no deadlines. They call it the affordable Caribbean dream, where sunshine and smiles are the two freest things you'll ever find. But even paradise has its scratches. In remote areas, electricity can go out for a few hours each week, and transportation infrastructure is still improving. And if you want to buy the cheapest land, remember, that land is usually several miles away from the beach, so a long-term vision is needed. Yet who cares, when every morning you're awakened by the sound of waves instead of an alarm clock? When $50,000 in the U.S. only buys a few months of stress, but here, it buys you a passport, a home, and a reason to smile every morning. If you're also searching for a place to start over, hit like on this video so you'll know you're not alone. And subscribe, because the next journey might just be you on the screen. Because after the Caribbean, our path will lead us to the Philippines, where the sun rises over 7,000 islands, and with just a retirement visa, you can live in endless summer. 1. Philippines, where 7,000 islands still wait for you to live the part of life you once forgot. When the night flight from Los Angeles landed in Manila, the first rays of Asian sunlight poured into the cabin like a greeting. The man sitting in the last row, John Miller, 62 years old, a retired civil engineer, looked out the window and quietly said, "Maybe this is the first time I'm not afraid of getting old." He brought with him $20,000, his entire savings after selling his old RV, and a belief that somewhere out there, there's still a place where people can live slowly, live joyfully, and stop measuring the value of life with insurance bills. The Philippines welcomed him with a smile, something often called the nation's treasure. With 7,141 islands, from the calm of Bohol to the waves of Siargao, From the bustle of Cebu to the wild beauty of Palawan, this country isn't just a destination, it's an invitation to live again. In rural areas, you can rent or acquire long-term land use rights for as little as $500 to $2,000 per acre, a price that astonishes the world. The law doesn't allow foreigners to directly own land, but with a 50-plus 25-year lease and construction rights, you can truly turn it into your own piece of life. And the best part? You don't need to be rich. With the Special Resident Retirees Visa (SRRV) program, you only need to show stable income or a deposit of $10,000 to $20,000 to receive permanent residency. No time limit, no strict stay requirements, no annual renewal stress. In the U.S., $20,000 only pays for 2 years of insurance. Here, it buys you a lifetime. By the blue sea with laughter and sunsets that are never the same 2 days in a row. Living costs? One person can live comfortably on $700 to $1,000 a month, $300 for a seaside home, $200 for food, and $50-80 for private health care. Hospitals in Manila or Cebu, such as St. Luke's or Chonghua, meet international standards, doctors speak English, and costs are 5 times lower than in the U.S. Of course, nowhere is perfect. Occasionally, strong typhoons hit, and infrastructure on smaller islands is still limited. But the people will be your neighbors, your rescuers, your friends. They won't let you face anything alone. In the Philippines, $800 may not buy land forever, but it buys the sky, the sea, and the feeling that you still have a chance to start again. Comment, I want to wake up by the sea. If you too feel it's time to leave the city behind and find yourself again amid sunshine and waves. 5 countries, 5 ways of living, but only one true choice: freedom. In America, $800 is just an electric bill or half a month's rent. But out there, it's still enough to buy real land, a real life, and a reason to smile each morning. Don't wait until the chance is gone. Comment, I'm ready to start over, if you believe it's time to live the rest of your life your own way.